Well, Joanne, I'm going to say good afternoon, or is it good evening to you where you
It's
are?
already evening, like it's 7 p.m. here. Yeah.
So you've already gotten a lot more done today than I have. So thank you for taking the time after being tired. Is it a good
Thank you
day
for
for you so
having me.
far?
Yeah, I'm having a good day. Did some work and preparing lots for March, so that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a tour with your All-American band and you're touring in support of the new EP. When did you actually finish the EP that you made in New Jersey?
We recorded it at the end of November in New Jersey, and we finished it, I think, at the end of December already. It went pretty fast, all the mixing and mastering. So we teamed up pretty well, and we got it done quickly.
I know that you'd spent a lot of time in New York and you'd performed in New York, but Asbury Park, it's not New York. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of New York City. Had you been to Asbury Park before recording the CP?
No, I haven't been there actually before this trip. So I spent a lot of time in New York, and I think I heard of New Jersey just because of movies and series and whatever. I wasn't there before, and I got in touch with Francis, the drummer and producer of this new EP. I met him in Nashville, and he told me a bit about the New Jersey music scene and about Asbury Park, and he just told me like, oh, we should record there. We should record your EP in Asbury Park. So I was totally I was up for it. And when I got there, I got the feeling of what the music scene is about, and it's pretty huge. Yeah.
Did you get to stay in Asbury Park near the studio when you were recording?
Yeah, I stayed for a week, I think. Yeah, in total in Asbury Park. So it was quite nice. I got to walk the shore and like see the famous music spots, and we went to a show in the Stone Pony as well. So I think I got the feeling of it quite well.
Got it. So Francis was your gateway to Asbury Park. Were you a big, and it's okay if the answer is no, but were you a big Springsteen fan or Southside Johnny fan or anything like that before recording in Asbury Park?
Well, I wouldn't say a big fan, but of course in the Netherlands we know the music of Springsteen, and there's lots of cover bands actually of them of Bruce Springsteen and New Jersey kind of music style. So yeah, we are familiar with them for sure, and we know that I knew that Ashbury Park was like, of course, his album title, and so that sounded familiar
Right.
already.
See, the reason I'm curious about that is I love finding out which American artists are popular overseas and which ones are not. So, for
Yeah,
example, Bruce Springsteen's probably like a top 10 all-time big artist, but then
yeah,
there's certain countries that Bruce Springsteen doesn't tour. And then one of my
right.
favorite bands, who Francis is kind of related to, Van Halen seems to be an American, Canadian, Japan thing. And even though the Van Halen family is Dutch, not a lot of
Mhm.
touring of Europe.
Well, yeah, that's quite interesting actually. I don't know, maybe they just focused on their fans and their music development in the US, but Van Halen, of course, we all know Van Halen, we all know David Lee Roth and the music of it, but I don't know, it's yeah, perhaps it's maybe not that famous in here if they are not touring, I don't know.
Yeah, one of the biggest bands of all time in the US, and then not so much
Yeah.
in Europe. And that's a very common thing. One of my favorite bands, Cheap Trick. I hear they don't tour Europe very much.
Right.
It happens, but
Yeah.
back to you. Back to you. So, what was it about Francis or Mark that you went, hey, these are the people I should be playing with? Was it a particular recording or credit of theirs?
Well, I think in the music world, it's also all about connections and having what kind of personality someone is like, and if you can connect with them on a personal level as well. I think that's the gateway to creating a good music. And I just
Mhm.
got connected with Francis through a friend in the Netherlands, actually, a fantastic trombone player, and he played with Francis, and I play with him a lot. So he connected us. He said, "Oh, you should meet him when you're in the US." So I just met with Francis, and we connected well, and we talked about music. We were on the same level, and he knew Mark, so I trusted his guts in, yeah, bringing Mark to the studio. So that's how it happened. I didn't really listen to the style, how they perform, how they play. I thought, okay, if my friend, if Francis is feeling well about it, then let's go for it and we'll see what happens.
That's very unique because sometimes it's a different band on the album than the tour. In other words,
Yeah.
sometimes the people are good to hang out with, but they aren't necessarily the band for the studio. But in this case, your band in the studio is the same band as the one on tour. You're flying them out to the Netherlands.
Yeah, partly. Some of them couldn't make it, unfortunately, but we got actually another guitar player, also from New Jersey, Anthony, and actually the Hammond player, keyboard player, Grace is also from New Jersey, I think. So it's all connected somehow. They all knew each other, and Francis is coming over, and Riley from Nashville. He also was in the studio with us in New Jersey. So yeah, it went so well, and we started brainstorming about how what we could do in the future, and them bringing them to the Netherlands was one of those ideas. So yeah, we made it happen.
So does that now mean that they have to bring you to the States also? That it's a
Yeah, for
return
sure.
process?
No, of course it would be great if it ended up being like this mutual collaboration. I can bring them over, they can bring me over, and that would be awesome, of course. Yeah.
And another thing that's very unique about your career compared to the United States is you have the support of government and grants and all that. We in the States don't really get that.
Yeah.
Has that been the case with your whole career, or is it mostly this new EP where you have people supporting you locally?
Yeah, I know that in the Netherlands it's a better system for sure.
Yes.
So for the arts, yeah, for the arts, there are lots of fundings you can apply to, and I indeed got a grant for recording in the United States. So yeah, it definitely helped me. For my last EP, I didn't get any grants. I applied for them. I didn't get them, but I ended up doing a crowdfunding. So there are other ways to make it possible. But it's still as expensive over here, but
Hmm.
it's maybe there are other ways to make it possible. Yeah.
So if you're able to complete grants, that means that you can write. I say that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you'll find a lot of great singer-songwriters who can't do paperwork, who can't do
Right.
essays, who can't do anything like that. So now
Yeah.
we know that you are a good writer.
Well, I think the education system I was in as well, I did a master of music, but it also focused on musical leadership. So fundraising actually was a big part of the master study. So I'm thankful for that because it will help me in the future also to accomplish projects. And yeah.
Mhm. Sometimes when an artist makes an EP, it's the precursor to a full-length album. And sometimes you find artists who go, "Oh, no one has the attention span for a full-length album. I'm only going to do EPs and singles." Which one are you with this new recording?
Yeah. So first I thought I'll just record one song maybe or two in the US just to release as a single. We ended up having more time, more ideas. So we recorded this EP of 3 songs. My goal is still to write a whole album of songs that came out of my trip in the US.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe create some kind of performance around that album. So it's really focused on music that I made that my trip inspired me to write. So I don't know. Maybe I'm still in search of it. I would love to create a whole album one day, but for now it's my second EP.
So how far ahead are you looking in your career? Sometimes when I talk with artists, they know where they're going to be the next 3 years. And then other people go, we'll see how this tour goes. We'll see how this EP goes, and then we'll decide. That's what I'm getting the vibe of that
Yeah,
you're waiting to see.
yeah. To be honest, I'm quite new in this world. It's my first tour in the Netherlands with my own music. I released my debut EP in June last year,
Hmm.
2023, and now I'm releasing this next EP. So I'm in the music scene for quite some time, but like creating my own music, writing and arranging and recording, that's all new, and I'm super excited for everything that's the world's gonna bring me eventually with it.
So when you're playing live in the Netherlands with your all-American band, do you know what the set list is it going to be? Is it just going to be the songs from your two EPs or covers, or are we allowed to know what you're performing?
Yeah, you definitely are. It's gonna be a mix of these two EPs. It's gonna be some new songs I recently wrote coming
Mhm.
out of my trip that aren't recorded yet, but we'll create some cool arrangements for the tour. And we're also gonna play some Americana covers because, you know, I bring them over from the US, and it would be great to bring some tribute to the music that inspires me to that comes with them. And we also have one performance at a big tribute festival, so we're going to play only Americana covers there. So it's going to be a good mix, I think.
Do the songs get extended versions live, or do you play the version that's on the EP and that's that?
Well, honestly, I like to put in some extra solos and some extra harmonies or whatever. I want to give all the musicians enough credit. So I we'll see when they're coming over. We're gonna rehearse for a day, and I'm just gonna let them give all the input they have and see what comes out of it. Yeah.
So you're going to let Francis hit the drums hard?
Maybe if he keeps it a bit down, if the venue is okay with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's an impressive backing band that you have behind you, because these are people who some nights they're playing covers, some nights they're with a singer-songwriter, some nights they're playing in arenas.
Yeah.
So in your case, have you played in an arena? I'm not assuming you have, but
No,
have you
no.
dealt with a gig like that?
No, no, never. I have not done anything like that. So I'm super excited and impressed and happy that such musicians are willing to come play with me. So that's super cool.
Yeah, you have a background of conservatories and real classical training. When you decided that you wanted to go more of a singer-songwriter route, did you have people from your music school trying to talk you out of being an original performer?
No, luckily they didn't. I started writing on I came into my master's in at the Conservatory of Amsterdam with a specific goal. Actually, I just wanted to get into writing myself, and I was just done with singing covers all the time. I and no, I was quite I wanted to see what came out of me when I would write my own music, and I think it ended up being different than I thought before, because I sang a lot of jazz music, and of course that has influence on my music right now, but it's more like indie folk kind of country, sometimes Americana vibe. And I think it's so interesting because I got my own musical identity because of it.
Mhm.
And that's something maybe only could grow because I was able to create my own stuff. I don't know. It was a pretty interesting process. And my coach at my master's, Marla Thompson, is a great singer-songwriter as well. She guided me through that whole process from starting with daring to be more vulnerable to how can I get those emotions into a lyrics or into music, or what kind of I actually am a piano player, but uh, I started writing with guitar, and that was the best choice ever because it inspires me a lot more than piano actually. So yeah,
When
all those
when did
choices.
you sorry to interrupt you? When did you start playing guitar versus piano?
So I think I started playing guitar right after my bachelor's. I bought a guitar. So that's 4 years ago, three and a
Oh,
half years ago. Yeah. Yeah, but I played piano since I was five, and so I did know a bit more about an instrument, but not about a guitar. It's just somehow, yeah, it somehow was a good choice for me.
well, with guitar, a lot of people when they start playing, they're only playing the chords in the first three frets. They can't graduate to bar chords right away
Yeah.
because their fingers won't permit that. Were you able to grasp onto that quickly?
Well, no, my fingers are not that easy as as well. I don't know. I use a lot of open chords, so I like to just experiment with more kind of jazzy sounds or more open sounds. And what I do like about writing with guitar instead of piano is that I most of the times I don't know what I'm playing. I'm just hearing and I'm deciding if it sounds good or not. And on the piano, I was so focused on, okay, this is the chord I'm playing and that's interesting or it's not interesting in the progression I'm playing. And with a guitar, I'm just hearing and I'm hearing and it sounds beautiful with the melody I'm singing. So why not use it? So that, yeah, it really helped me that way.
Wow. Well, two more questions and then I'll let you go because you're kind of a mystery. We just know the music and that's that. So question one, what's the number two hobby besides music? When you're not
Ooh.
busy with music, where does your time go?
Good question. I think okay, not music. Oh, well, okay. So this week it's actually Carnival in the Netherlands. It's a big It's a big festivity, but it's also combined with. I play a lot of music over there, but it's a party for 5 days. Everyone dresses up, and it's just an amazing kind of culture in the Netherlands, which we are busy with it the whole year. Our group of friends, and that's a big hobby for sure.
It sounds like the way that Mardi Gras is with New
Yeah,
Orleans. It's
exactly.
a
Yeah,
it's a
lots of live
season.
music, lots of partying, being together, like the feeling of community, which I really like. It's really yeah, it's that's going on at Carnival.
And then my last question is, what's the last concert that you went to as a fan? And it's okay
Ooh,
if you name a Dutch artist. It's okay if you talk about De Staat or something like that. That's the
nice.
first Dutch artist that came to mind. I'm curious what concert that you would go to because when I think of you, yes, there's the jazz and the folk, but for all I know, you could be a metalhead too.
Well, last concert I went to was actually in the United States. I went to John Mayer in Nashville and First Aid Kit. I'm a big fan of First Aid Kit. It's a Swedish
Yeah.
duo. They played in Texas when I was there. So yeah, lots of good music.
So you like all kinds of music. That's what I'm learning. If you like First
Yeah.
Aid Kit.
Well, I'm not sure if I am open to exploring metal. I wouldn't go to a concert like tomorrow, but you never know what will happen.
Paltrocast.